Monday Health Minutes, sponsored by Valley Health.
Hi, I'm Melanie Shafer. This is Valley Health Minutes. Boy, summer is winding down. We're starting to get into that back to school mode. How do we get ready to help our kids launch a successful year? We're talking with Dr. Corey Booth about that. He is the doctor of clinical psychology, and he has lots of tips and tricks that we can all take in as we launch this new school year. Thanks so much for being here.
Absolutely, Melanie. Thank you so much for having me.
It's such great information for parents. How do we take some of the stress, some of the anxiety about coming off of summer and getting back into that school groove?
Absolutely. So one of the things I often recommend is that we start that year off with having a plan, right? And so whether that's having a plan for after school, having a plan for how we're going to do homework, we do a little bit of front loading is kind of the term that I use, to get things going. That way when things heat up and we're going to get busy through the summer, we've got that thing to fall back on. We've got that plan to fall back on. And so it kind of keeps us oriented, keeps us going in one direction.
So just kind of a general conversation with your kids to say, hey, I'd like you to study before school, after school, or late at night, and come up with your general plan, because things always kind of have to pivot with your kids.
Absolutely. So we talk about, we want them to have spaced practice to help with learning. So maybe some before dinner, some after dinner, a little bit before bedtime, those types of things, but also breaking it up to where it's manageable. Right, so we, depending on their age, we're not going to expect them to be able to sit for too long. So we want to make sure that they're able to make the most of the time that they study, but we also want them to be comfortable too, so that they can do as well as they can.
And just to kind of set that expectation, so everybody knows where we're headed. Sleep is a really big thing to kind of recalibrate after those summer months when kids stay up too late, maybe playing video games or just hanging out with friends. What are your suggestions on walking that back to the school groove?
So there are several different ways to do that. You may start a few weeks ahead of time and start spacing it back, half an hour or something like that, a little bit at a time. Other folks are going to have better benefit of just kind of jumping in feet first and making that adjustment. We typically expect kids to take about a week and a half to adjust anyway, so there is going to be an adjustment to that. So we anticipate that, but it really depends on what they're most comfortable with and what the families are able to do.
Yeah, maybe go on your past track record. If jumping in with both feet wasn't successful, maybe walk it back little by little by little. That's a good idea. There are lots of big jumps in school, going from elementary to middle school and middle school to high school. Those can be scary for the kids and the parents. I mean, I can attest to being very nervous and anxious when my kids were making those jumps. What suggestions do you have for the kids and for moms and dads?
Absolutely. So, to start with elementary school, when we're starting into the first grade or kindergarten, we anticipate a little bit more difficulty with the separation and that sort of thing. And so for those parents, I oftentimes encourage them to use a pre-planned goodbye routine, right? And this is something we can rehearse the night before, we work on in the car. That way when it comes time to drop off in the morning, it's ready to go and the kids are ready and know what to expect, right? Other things that they can do are really trying to focus them on the positive things that they like about school. So whether that's art class or going to see your friends, those types of things, to keep their mind in that right direction. Once we get started into middle school and high school, that's where you get a lot more opportunities for things like, the open houses that give them opportunities to see the school, get a lay of the land, even maybe meet some of the teachers. I strongly encourage that because it can be really intimidating. Oftentimes when we're making that transition, we're going into bigger buildings, we're going into places where there are more kids, and there's going to be some challenges that come with that. So taking advantage of those early opportunities is really something.
I know you talked about study habits and establishing the routine. Any other suggestions on making it academically successful?
Thinking about the academic success, what we really encourage is looking at it from a mastery point of view. So rather than worrying about what grade are we working to, what grade point average are we working toward, really looking at what our progress is. And so in order to see our progress on a specific subject, we have to use self-assessment, right? And so this is testing ourselves on our spelling words, testing ourselves on our history quizzes, those types of things, so that we know where our areas of difficulty are, and then we get opportunities as we continue to study to refirm those up and really solidify our knowledge based on those areas.
I love your suggestions about having those opening conversations, setting expectations, just kind of clearing the air so everybody's on the same page.
Absolutely.
To start the school year. And hopefully everyone will have a wonderful, wonderful new school year. Dr. Wu, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Melanie.
Hope you picked up a couple of tips. We'll see you next Monday on Valley Health Minutes.